everyone. I think the volume is a bit high. But good morning. Thank you so much, Marianne, for the introduction. We are delighted to be here. We are the premier sponsor of the summit. And we are a huge fan of what the ACA is doing as a voice for angels and angel groups across the country. So it's a privilege to be sponsoring this summit, and I'm really delighted to be here. So today we're going to talk about opportunities for investing in science and technology and how you can be ahead of the curve. So I'm going to draw your attention to this chart. So this is the cost of computing power equal to an iPad 2. So in the 1940s, what costs today a few $100s would have cost $100 trillion. 5 times the GDP of the United States. The reason I bring this up is because this humongous decline in costs helped proliferate a lot of innovation. Let's take a look. So everything you see today, from search, email, navigation, social networking, entertainment, all of that is a result of these declining cost curves. So that is important for us as investors, because we need to be looking around to see what's going on in these industries. Is this being replicated elsewhere? And what might that mean for me as an investor? So the news is good. I'm here to tell you that these cost curves, yes, are being replicated, and very much so in science and technology. And I'm going to share with you 3 specific cost curves and 3 sectors where you might find these opportunities. Before we go there, let me just give you a brief introduction to PropelX, and Marianne, thanks once again to what you said. But we are an investment marketplace. It's kind of an online investment platform. We connect investors with startups, and our specialty is we focus exclusively on hard science and technology. These are our sectors of focus: energy and clean tech, industrial technologies, life sciences, aerospace and transportation, food and ag, information technology, and communications. We focus on deep technology companies founded on scientific discovery or meaningful engineering innovation. These are the companies that are going to power us into the next century. So we help investors to discover, evaluate, and invest in startups. Investors all over the world can find companies that, from our curated list of startups, companies that are of interest to them. We do have a network of 500 plus experts. For each company, we select a hand-picked panel of leading experts from across the world. As investors, you can submit questions, and the experts will answer your questions. And then you can invest with these. Our investment minimums are $3,000. So that's who we are. Sorry. Here's a little bit of our success to date. So our website has been operating for 2.5 years. We've showcased 100 plus startups, 40 plus deals closed. More than $7.5 million has been invested through PropelX, and many of our startups have had follow-on funding as well. So back to our conversation, which is pertinent to you. What are the industries that are exhibiting similar declines in costs? And what might that mean in terms of opportunities for you? So curve number 1, let's talk about gene sequencing. So this graph comes from the National Human Genome Research Institute. And what this shows is the cost decline for gene sequencing for a single human genome. And what costs today, just above $1,000, used to cost in 2001 $100 million. So huge cost decline. And the National Human Genome Research Institute has very helpfully provided that white line up there, which is the curve predicted by Moore's law. So human gene sequencing has done tremendously better than transistors. What does that mean? If we have a lot of individual human genetic information at our fingertips, what does that mean for us as investors? What can we do? What apps can proliferate on it? Personalized medicine is it. There is a huge pipeline that is developing of personalized therapies. Today, in the past 3 years, more than 20% of the drugs that were, not only the drugs that were approved by the FDA, were in fact personalized medicine. Today, 42% of the drugs that are under development are categorized as personalized medicine. So this is going to be big, and and let us talk about what it means in terms of implications, or what opportunities does this give us as investors. So number one, use of data for therapy selection. This offers the biggest promise, and startups that are integrating not just genetic information, but also information based on your particular lifestyle and your particular medical history, those startups offer the greatest potential for return. So when you're looking out for personalized, when you hear personalized medicine, ask them, what is it that you're basing your personalized therapies on? The second opportunity is in personalized therapies, whether they be gene therapies, cell therapies, tailored methods to deliver drugs. At PropelX, we have hosted every single one of these companies that I'm talking about. Responsive drug delivery, those are important opportunities. And finally, beyond human beings, after all, our machines can sequence data not just for human beings, but also for plants and animals. So, can we grow more food, better food, cheaper food? Can we protect our supply chain for food? Can we protect our animals, keep them healthy? Those are all implications from that declining cost curve of gene sequencing. So let's move on. We are moving a little rapidly here because we are covering 3 different sectors. So we're going to talk about energy very quickly. And the important curve here that you should be looking for is energy storage, battery technologies. What we see here, so what I've got here is an illustrative technology curve. This shows how the cost of lithium-ion batteries has declined almost an order of magnitude over the past 7-8 years. This is important. Vehicles are at the cutting edge. It shows the vehicle battery technologies. And this data comes from EPRI. Both Tesla and General Motors in the last year have claimed to have costs less than that which is projected. This is actually quite huge. Let's think of what the implications are if we have cheap, cost-effective batteries available to us. Grid 2.0 is coming. What does that mean? Well, number one, we are going to be much freer of the grid. Devices that you would have to recharge, again, at short intervals of time, now you will be able to travel with much longer. Cars will have longer range. You will have flying airplanes which are based on electric technologies. You do have flying airplanes. So Zoom is one example. I don't know how many of you read in New York Times, but last week Kitty Hawk, which is a company backed by Larry Page, it's a flying car company. They had their first test flight. Drones. Amazon is already testing drones for delivery. We've had many companies apply to us that are doing delivery by drones. So all of these are important technologies. Robots, personal gophers, someone that goes shopping for you. These are going to be delivered in the next 10 years. Microgrids, that is very important. So a few days back, there was a huge power outage in San Francisco. A very large group of commercial spaces was affected, and had there been microgrids, that would not have come about. Microgrids are coming. The key thing missing has been storage technology, and now that the battery costs are coming down, we will see a lot more adoption of renewables, and microgrids are going to come into being. The reason this is an opportunity for us today is in the past 10-15 years, a lot of money has gone into the grid. The smart grid has been developed. But now the opportunity is in the microgrid system, and that's where the opportunity lies for investors today. And finally, novel new storage technologies are very much in play. Every day on PropelX, we see new storage technologies applying and getting funded, whether it's capacitors, new materials, or other things, alternative sources of energy that are still untapped. We help this company, Ctrek. What they do is harvest temperature differentials, small temperature differentials between night and day, between light and shade, and they store it as battery storage. So that actually is huge. So storage continues to be very much in play, very important. Finally, moving on, we come back to computing. So I opened with the slide that showed you the declining cost curves. So now we're at the time where not only has the cost declined, but our capabilities have increased many, many fold. This is a log curve. So as you can see, so what the axis shows is billions of computations per second on the y-axis. On a log curve, it has grown many, many orders of magnitude more. So we are at this time where not only our capability to process data is huge, but we're also producing humongous amount of data every day. So according to the IBM website, we are producing 2.5 quintillion bytes of data on a daily basis. For the uninitiated, 1 quintillion is a million trillions, or a trillion millions. But whichever way you look at it, it's a vast amount of data. So we have this confluence of factors. Not only are we producing a lot of data, but we have the capability to process it efficiently, unstructured data. So what does this mean? Well, we are entering the age of Jarvis. Very much the growth of artificial intelligence. This is not a new concept. It's been around since the 1940s, and frankly, it is the stuff of science fiction since last century. But today, it is taking off because of the factors that I mentioned. And what are the opportunities you should be looking for? Well, everything that we discussed so far is going to have elements of artificial intelligence, whether it's selection of therapies based on your genetic data, or it is managing the grid. All of that is going to need artificial intelligence. So the opportunities are endless. The world is your oyster here, but you have to be careful because every startup that comes along today is using AI and ML. So you need to be a little bit careful in selecting this. Ask them what's in the black box there. The other sectors that are important, other than life sciences and energy, are the sectors you should be looking for which create large volumes of data. Those are financial services, defense, consumer, creating large volumes of data every day, and artificial intelligence is going to be very relevant in those spaces. Now finally, I do want to highlight one thing which gets overlooked very much in the hype of artificial intelligence: sensors. Sensor technologies cost a lot less today than they did yesterday, but possibilities remain. And the reason this is important is it is an enabler of artificial intelligence. Intelligence really consists of three parts. The first is your sensing capabilities, whether it's through your eyes, ears, taste, touch, all of those are sensing capabilities. And we have been able to digitize visual, we have been able to digitize audio, but we have not done very well on taste, or smell, or touch so much, getting there. So those are the opportunities for us. We have in fact had this company called Aromics, which is digitizing the smell, sense of smell and taste. So very much their foundational technology, it will have an impact on anything that has to do with the sense of smell, the sense of taste, and so on. So opportunities exist here. Let me summarize. I'm about at the end of my time. So declining cost curves yield investment opportunities. What we discussed today is not really the entire breadth of opportunities that are available in science and tech. I was really focused because I had a grand total of 15 minutes, very focused on identifying what's possible based on declining cost curves. So I want to wish you the very best investing. I know many of you here already, you're members of Propellex. Thank you for your patronage, but I look forward to chatting with each of you in the next 2 days. Let's stay connected, and before I sign off, we are running a raffle, grand prizes on offer, but please make sure to connect only through that link so you're eligible for the raffle. Thank you everyone.